What is the thought, I mean, behind supplementation? Is it just it's impossible to get nutrition from food these days and we have to supplement because the system is so degraded? Is that the thought?
Yeah, and that's what I've come to kind of learn is like if you think about us ancestrally, which is why this diet makes so much sense. If you think about us ancestrally, like when the heck did we ever, even like 100 years ago, did we have supplements? And we didn't have any stuff like this. Like there was no autoimmune conditions, hardly. So it was very few and far between. So I cut everything out, and I found your podcast with Joe Rogan, like many have. And that's when I was like, all right, I'll just do meat. I'll do meat, salt, water. And I stuck primarily with red meat. I noticed bacon kind of flared me up. It still does. I never had an issue with that growing up, but I noticed after this, I had a lot of problems with bacon. So I mainly just eat twice a day. I probably put down, I'd say 2 to 3 pounds of meat each day. And I bought a whole cow back in August. So I'm about halfway done with that. But yeah, I've stuck primarily with red meat.
And so the result of that, so dropping the fruit and the bananas, the apples, the supplements, I guess, maybe.
Yes.
What do we have? What happened to that? Do you have a follow-up photo or does it look?
Yes. Well, it kind of, yeah, I didn't take a screenshot of my follow-up photo. I'll show you my arms here though. I can kind of get up here and show you what they look like now, but they're pretty much 100% better.
They look normal arms. And what was the time? What was the time frame that occurred in from the worst to the best?
So that picture was taken around the end of March. I noticed within the week, maybe 2 weeks. I mean, I took a bunch of pictures in my hands because I knew it would work. Like I had seen a bunch of people's success stories with it. So I was like, I want to document this pretty well. So I had taken a lot of pictures, and within a week, you could tell the inflammation had gone down. I'd say within a month, it was almost completely resolved. I tried to get off of it because I'm like, this is pretty restrictive. And I never realized I had some shoulder pain. Like at the end of the day, I usually see about 20 to 30 patients a day. But by the end of the day, I noticed my back would just be dull and achy normally. And this was only after 6 months of doing it. So, I don't have any arthritis yet by any means, but it would just be dull and achy. My shoulders would hurt. They'd be clicking and popping. Specifically, my left one, I had an injury to it.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying so the act of actually doing chiropractic manipulations and examining patients was causing this stuff, and you've been doing it for 6 months. Okay.
You're MMA wrestling people all day.
And so you noticed that went away as well with a diet,
yes, right? The low back pain, the shoulder pain. I had pretty consistent headaches as well. Maybe like once on the rare occasion I have one now, but they are. I mean, I hardly ever have them. So that's always been a thing too. I always had headaches.
You mentioned some asthma. Were you medicated for asthma? Were you on an inhaler, corticosteroid inhaler, or albuterol or something like that? And what's going on with that now?
I was on a inhaled corticosteroid. I was doing like Singulair this was growing up. So I did Singulair growing up. I always did like the preventative, the one they want you to take nightly. Did those. And then I would say after high school, or maybe in high school, it got less severe, but I still had it. If I would be around any of my triggers, like a dusty environment or a dog, like that's what really set it off. Even being around that now, I don't notice that maybe I'll sneeze here and there, but I don't have asthma attacks anymore. So especially when I'm very strict with the diet.
Yeah, and you said you did it for a period of time. Things got better. You said, this is too restrictive for me. I'm going to try to add things back in, I guess. So what did you try to add back in, and what happened to you?
Well, for some stupid reason, I keep wanting to add fruit in because I think there was just this big carb addiction that I had. Mm-hmm. Carbohydrates. I mean, that was why I wanted to eat that fruit, because that my gut bacteria was screaming at me because it was dying. And when I ate that stuff, it would help supplement that bad bacteria. So it would just keep it alive. I just kept wanting to add fruit in, or, have the occasional dessert. I can't do that because I just know I feel too good right now.
When you do those things, I mean, do you notice your inflammation comes back, or what is the trigger there?
Yes. Like on Thanksgiving, like I had a little bit of pie. I had an asthma attack that night. My skin has been a little bit flared up just for the past 2 weeks, just a little bit here and there. But usually when I eat something I'm not supposed to, it's about a week until it goes away, or it doesn't, I'm not itching at it or anything like that. So I'd say when I cheat, that's the only time I really notice those symptoms come back. But I listen to your videos every morning, so you're very inspirational as far as keeping me on the straight and narrow, man.
Well, thank you. It's interesting, like when you mentioned itching, because I just think about it. I just hardly ever itch anymore. It's kind of weird. It's like I remember before you always kind of be scratching, and now it just never happens anymore. It's kind of weird. Some of these weird things you just don't think about as you scratching your face.
Right. Well, and people always on these forums or like in comment sections, I'll read, and they're like, they're saying how they just list some random symptom that they noticed. I'm like, hey, I had that too. And, it totally is gone now.
Let me ask you a little bit about chiropractic, because obviously I went through an allopathic pathway as an orthopedic surgeon, and, obviously pharmaceutical companies very much have their tentacles within that system. So it's kind of refreshing to see you kind of are away from that. How much is nutrition thought of and taught in chiropractic college?
It's actually, you actually get quite a few hours of nutrition in chiropractic school, albeit most of it's incorrect. Mm-hmm. Now that I've come to find this way of eating, they still pass on the tropes that like, red meat it'll raise your blood pressure, or red meat and fruit will give you gout type of deal, or just red meat by itself gives you gout. There's still that underlying, just incorrectiveness of that nutrition program, but they were attempting to teach people like, hey, you can fix some of these problems with nutrition. Mm-hmm. So I always appreciated that, because they came at it from that angle, because everybody's got their own opinion on nutrition. And that's why, I didn't like it too much until I found this way, because it's very extreme, but it works. Like it just does. It's amazing how big of a turnaround that I've made on it. And if you'd have told me when I was in chiropractic school that, an all meat diet is going to fix my problems, I'd have called you crazy.
Yeah, I would have called myself crazy, 10 years ago. Now that I've been doing this for 7+ years, and it's not so crazy. It is. So I mean, like when you say, you're seeing 20 some people a day, and you're wrestling with them, MMA wrestling. Obviously, a lot of adjustments. That's what a lot of people associate chiropractic with spinal manipulation and joint adjustments and things like that. How much of your practice is not that? I mean, are you adjusting everybody that walks in your office? Do you ever does everybody come in and say, hey, I've got this issue, and you say, well, you can treat it through these things, or does everybody get an adjustment?
Yes. So that's kind of what's changed about my perspective in the last year of being in practice. People come in with severe autoimmune conditions, or like very chronic low back pain. That's usually what you see, sciatic pain. So I tell them, I'm like, hey, I can adjust you, and I'm going to give you some relief. Sometimes we can get it to where, they don't have any problems with that at all anymore. So very successful with that, or they have a radiculopathy into the arm, anything like that. A lot of times we can fix that, but if I can't get that to go away, just within a couple visits, I'll tell them like, hey, we need to look a little bit deeper, because this might be more than just, you have an injury to that area, and we can adjust it back to health. Sometimes it's inflammatory. So I see a lot of polyarthritis that's undiagnosed. And then a lot of, like I said, chronic low back pain. I think a lot of that can be taken care of with proper nutritional diet. So